Greetings and salutations, Tube Dwellers. This is your host, the Mad Bag, with another Starcraft 2 commentary. This is going to be a game from my secondary account. Whoa, I don't know where I'm going here. I thought I could see the ladder real easy here. Current season, that's where I was looking. Wings of Liberty. Oh, that's neat. I wonder if when Heart of the Swarm comes in, if it'll be a second ladder. I kind of think it will. Anyway, I've been refining my Terran play in general, but specifically the mech in TvZ. And I actually, when I started doing this, I was like rank 15, and I've had a lot of losses with Terran. This account still registers me playing Zerg more than any other race. Where does it say that? Most played race is actually Protoss. That must be due to my buddy who plays team games on this account. Obviously 4 versus 4s. I think that's historical too. This most played race goes all the way back. Anyway, I'm going to do this by replay, so it's not going to be a first-person video of me doing anything. It's going to be a replay of a decent game that I played. It's much better than recent mech play from me. So here we are. We are on Cloud Kingdom. I, of course, will be your Terran player, Highest Timblar, in the top right. And Mr. Axiom Crank, the professional Protoss player, sponsored by Husky and Total Biscuit, will be playing Zerg in the bottom left. Just kidding, this is just some player named Crank. It's obviously not Axiom Crank, as even with Zerg, that guy would blow me out of the water. It would be comical to watch me play against him. Downright comical. I'm doing a little bit of mineral stacking here. I like to see that, and he is actually doing the exact same. Mineral stacking right off the bat before we're even up to, 10 workers each. We're already getting dim minerals stacked. So, mech play. Obviously, I think every time I put up a video of me playing anything Terran, throughout the entire video I speak exclusively about how bad I feel playing Terran, how off everything feels. But I've been getting slightly better. I still would call it my weakest race. I would call my play with Terran the weakest play of any race for me. I definitely prefer Zerg over Terran, and I definitely prefer Protoss over both, really. Oh, he's gonna try to harass my worker? Oh no, get out, out of my kitchen. Barracks going down on irregular timing. 13, this would be irregular timing for a gas on one base. I think exclusively the Terran versus Zerg build that I've shown, I think in every video I've ever put up on my channel, is a one base cloakless Banshee expand. So I get a Banshee with no cloak, I march the Banshee over here, I try to kill a queen, maybe a couple drones, and then I whip an expansion out right behind it, don't really invest in the Banshees, and end up going into either Marine tank or into mech. This time I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing something at least slightly more standard. This game, it's still not totally standard. I still do some kind of weird stuff. The completely standard play for a Terran, just about any time, but especially if you're going mech, in Terran versus Zerg, is to open with reactored Hellions, and then move into cloaked Banshees, or just a lot of Banshees. I've even seen a lot of Terrans go 2 Starport Banshees. Oh, and he's going to steal some gas. Now this might be a decent move, because even if I'm planning on whipping this expansion out, which, given that I haven't gotten gas, it's obvious I'm going to want to get an expansion, especially given my bank up here. This is kind of a good move though, because even whipping this expansion out, almost always you're going to want to double gas right after getting the expansion out. So he might be able to delay me long enough with this that it will actually disrupt my build. I don't know, we'll have to see. Matter of fact, now that that's down, I think, yeah, it would be 2, since I got this supply depot before I started the command center, 2 gas, and then my 3rd supply depot would be the order. And 3 Marines is enough to DPS an extractor faster than it builds, and you see that here. He doesn't actually get the last cancel. And my gas are going down immediately thereafter. I don't like to see SCVs hiccuping. In the meantime, he's established his natural, and is getting a spine crawler. He's just now starting to get that gas. You can see he's coming right up on that 100 mark. I would kind of expect to see that go into ling speed, but you never know. Could be about anything. I wonder, I'm just going to take his vision for a split second. I don't see his camera flipping up there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't see it. My Marines, that is, walking past his overlord. I like to send these first few Marines out onto the map, and most of the time I like to go as far as over here, and maybe poke up to like the top of the ramp, but not not really do anything, especially if I see a spine crawler. This just to make him not build drones. Most of the time Zergs will see this coming, they'll see it leaving your base, and they'll build enough Zerglings to stay alive against it and to not take basically any damage, which given that he's got a queen is really only like 4 Zerglings, which he's building now. But a lot of times that'll keep him from getting 1 or 2 more drones in the early game, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but that can really add up, especially by the time you get to, say, I don't know, the 3-base situation or further. And here you see I did come all the way up to the ramp. I'm going to poke just far enough to see that he's got a spine crawler. His spine crawler even peered over at me as though it was going to take a poke, but decided not to. And now he's trying to scout in to see what I'm doing. So here he gets just about everything. I've only got 2 Marines at home, so I can't DPS this down quick enough. He sees the factory. He sees the command center. He knows what I'm up to. And it looks like I'm even being extra safe. I think this was a spawning pool first build. He actually got the spawning pool before his hatchery. A lot of times that indicates a desire to do some kind of pressure. So honestly, just these, given that I thought pressure was very possible, just sending these Marines out was probably really risky on my part. But I am getting ready to start getting Hellions, and so it looks like I'm feeling safe enough to move down and take the natural. Now let's do some comparison here. We're looking at 30 to 26 workers. And here you see what I'm talking about, the weirdness. Normally, in pro Terran vs. Zerg, you would slap a Banshee on, you would probably build a tech lab with this barracks, you would, or I should say slap a starport on, build a tech lab with this barracks, swap them, start getting Banshees out as fast as possible, basically produce just off the factory and off the starport. But me, I've gone a second factory here. This indicates that I either want to get a lot of Hellions, or I want to do something siege tank oriented. And unfortunately, he gets a great scout off. He's going to come in here, he's going to see the 3rd command center, the factory. I'm not sure, it looks like he hasn't clicked on this yet, but this is actually a starport that I've got coming down now. So my ordering's a little bit different. This indicates that I likely don't want to do a whole lot of Banshee stuff, but probably want to get a Banshee or a few Banshees. And now we're seeing a tech lab on the factory, which indicates that I want to do, again, this could still be Hellion related. It could be a quick blue flame Hellion, but I can tell you from past experience, having played this game, it is tanks. I want to get tanks out pretty quickly. I don't like to see this drone count here in the main. He's staying just ahead of me in drones. He's staying just about as many drones ahead of me as you need to be to counteract the fact that I have mules. And this looks oversaturated, but the second he takes his gas, that's going to take this back down to about a good saturated level. This is right around 16. That's a pretty solid amount to have on that base. This still looks a little bit short, but I'm sure we'll see plenty of drones popping out here in the near future. I am just now coming up to the front with the Hellions, and I'm going to be able to deny any further creep spread down here, but he's going to pretty easily come over to his 3rd and beyond. So now that I've got the Hellions in play, it looks like I'm using them just to contain for the time being. Let's see what my next plan is. Just now taking both of those gas. I'm taking both the gas and the natural very quickly. I've got the 3rd command center in base ready to go. And let's see, is that the 1st siege tank? I believe that's my 1st siege tank. Oh, he's going to push around for a potential counter. If I leave my base with anything else, this could be a nasty little pack of Zerglings. I'm not sure I saw it with that Hellion, but I did use the Hellion to see the 3rd base. Oh, he is going to try to come in, but a couple Hellions, that's going to totally deny all of that. Again, he gets a great scout of my base. He gets in, he sees the double armory, so he knows that I'm kind of going a power-heavy build, especially this command center and a double armory. I've got the starport. There we go. There the 1st Banshee pops. So it looks like I'm putting together a really powerful timing push. I haven't done any harass. If you get Hellions early, you can run Hellions. I could try to just run straight in here, run past his queens, run past this defense, and try to take out a lot of drones, but I'm not doing that. So it looks like I'm... Ooh, and he's getting spore crawlers in anticipation of that starport that he scouted, in anticipation of the Banshee play. I'm not running the Hellions in, though, which indicates that I want to put together a timing push. And sure enough, you see the army coming out now. It looks like siege mode did complete because I started that before the 1st tank. And I'm doing this with 2 siege tanks. I've got Hellions on the rally. Matter of fact, there might be a 3rd siege tank involved. And I've got at least, I think there's 1 Banshee already out here. Ooh, he canceled his creep tumors, seeing me move in. I cleared the way for my 3rd. I'm going to try to get a 3rd base established behind this push. This push is going to hopefully distract him until the 3rd base is totally up. Maybe have a couple buildings protecting the 3rd base. Maybe have a couple units over there. It looks like he pushed out with some roaches and forced me to consolidate my forces. And now I'm going to see what kind of pressure I can put on his third base. So we're looking at 53 to 49 workers. Again, he's ahead of me, not by a lot, but by about as many. Ooh, blue flame finish too. I like to see that my blue flame timing is looking a lot better than it was in the last game that you guys saw. He's actually not ahead of me in drones anymore, and this could be nasty if this pressure does anything to his drone count. Army-wise, I've got a huge lead over him. Food-wise, I've got a huge lead. So let's see what he can put together here. He does have roaches, and if I had to guess, yeah, he's got the infestation pit up already. He has not researched pathogen glands yet. He could build some infestors and just let them gather some energy. That's not a horrible play. He is getting Baneling speed and +2 armor. So the +2 armor is not likely going to be done for this push, but the Baneling speed will be. Ooh, I kind of like to see this too. I'm running some Hellions into the back, into his drone line, but he takes that opportunity to go straight for the siege tanks. And that was a good move on his part, because that ultimately shuts this push down. Now the Banshee proved to be quite helpful, picked off a Queen in the middle of that, and continues to do damage, but ultimately he broke my push, and he's got enough Zerglings here, oh, and enough Roaches, that he's going to deny quite a bit of stuff from me here. A siege tank, some other stuff. I do have the wall off here, but this is not established near as well as I would like it to be. So I've got a Banshee in the mix. It looks like I've got another Banshee. Ooh, I missed quite a bit of this Banshee's lifespan too. She's up to 9 kills. I'm pretty sure that absolutely all of those were drones. This one's up to 9 kills, but I don't think any of those were drones. So if we take a glance back at the worker count, he is pretty solidly below me. And given that I've got my third established, oh, he's going to just now catch my third. He catches the mining. He actually started attacking the mule that was ready to run out right off the bat. Oh no, and I'm getting ready to lose this. 11 kill Banshee. She paid for herself, especially since I didn't buy Cloak. I just got 2 Banshees basically by themselves. The Banshees were a decent investment. Just the attention soak of my primary push and being able to hit the back with this other Banshee over here. That's got his worker count. He's starting to build back up. He's starting to catch back up to me and surpass me as he needs to be. But that did enough damage. I didn't kill the third base. Going siege tank heavy on that push. I'm really looking for a base kill. I'm looking to annihilate everything on the ground so hard so that I get in there, that I get the base kill, that I keep him from crushing my push. Splitting my Hellions in half though and taking around the back really allowed him to manipulate that push. Allowed him to get in, get the spread he needed on it, get my forces separated enough to do the damage. So I'm taking the gas again on the third almost immediately. I was mining minerals here for a little bit, but you can see that my gas and minerals are staying pretty even, and with mech you use gas a lot faster than you do minerals. I am starting to get the Thors out now. This is a pretty late timing for mutas, but Thors are good to have even if he's going with a roach composition. And I never saw the infestors with that push, so it makes me think that he might have just delayed lair tech long enough to get an army out to beat my push. So it's possible that he could use just about any lair tech. I can't, I can't judge him into one of the other infestors or mutalisks. He could still be doing either, and I don't want to totally exclude Thors if he does happen to pop some mutalisks out on me. So I've got a really heavy fortification here at my third. I don't like how I just de-sieged my tanks. That's a potential concern, because I guess I'm close to a decent push-out time, having about 150, 160 food. Ooh, seeing that my macro's ahead of him too. I haven't watched this replay yet, so I played the game, and I felt pretty good, and I felt like he was doing pretty good, especially just in that he crushed that push. Watching this replay again, though, my worker count's been ahead of him basically the entire part of the game that mattered. Oh, and I'm going to scout his little ninja 5th down over here. They're just going to hit it and keep moving. All I need is to know that it's there. There are no drones to kill yet. And it looks like I'm moving for another push. Now, this maneuver that I'm doing here, this map position that I'm walking into, is kind of questionable because it doesn't defend very well the opposite side of the map. It doesn't. All of my forces are in a position that he can easily just pass right by to go right to my third. Ooh, and he's getting off some money fungals here. Those were decent. It looks like, yeah, he's going to kill a nice little chunk of those Hellions. Zerglings, though, I don't like how his composition is largely made of Zerglings because I still have a lot of Hellions. They are 1-1. It looks like I'm a little bit early on this push. It'd be ideal if I could have 2-2 done before we do most of this battling. And he used a lot of infested Terrans there. That was a pretty good attempt, but this food count is really just keeping me alive in it. Having more workers than him all game, having slightly better macro, and you can see now my minerals have absolutely taken off. I'm kind of gas locked. You'll have that with mech. getting a Raven in the mix now. I actually like that, although really it's more for your point defense drone against roaches. Roaches are really good against mech. Point defense drone is really good against roaches. It's less so to see the creep tumors, even though it allows that functionality. You can holy harass. You can scan a lot with mech. You can spend the energy on scans instead. He is absolutely tearing my third apart, and this is exactly what I was talking about when I talked about that map position for the push. If I would have instead, say, pushed from my third here straight across the map and then began sieging up into his natural, it would have been more difficult for him to run around. He would have probably came from an angle down here, and it would have been easier for me to spot. It would have been easier for me to keep a guy on that Xel'Naga watchtower and keep this from happening. So this has slowed me way down. I am basically back down to 2 base. I'm using some heavy oversaturation because it's about all I can use. Oh, nice. We have a cute little, we have a Thor kill on a hatchery over here. 2-2 did finally finish. More money fungals coming down on the Hellions. I think I've still got, let's see, only 2 tanks. That is not very many tanks, especially given this 6 infestor count. The tanks are really there to deal with the infestors. They can get little shots off on the infestors anytime they move within range to do a spell. So I do take out the third, but that doesn't mean a whole lot because he totally stopped my third from doing anything simultaneously. Now I am reestablishing and floating over to a fourth, which is nice. But he's not necessarily in dire straits. He is still below me on the food count. However, we're about even in workers, so that still favors me because of mules, but it's a little bit better than it has looked most of the game so far. I kind of don't like that I'm still hanging out here either. I should probably go ahead and back this up and make sure that this area is fortified. Oh, and a matter of fact, he brings the infestors back in. He kills even more workers. I'm curious to see. So on the workers killed, he has actually killed more than me, and that's saying a lot because I've had Blue Flame Hellions since pretty early in this game. Worker-wise, though, we are still pretty even, which favors me. Being a Terran player, having mules, having this, the income is going to be redonkulous. 2,000, I kind of expected to spike up over 2,000. Yeah, it did for just a second there. This is just waiting on a fungal, but he can't really get to it, the siege tank coverage. Oh, now it's actually asking for a fungal. It wants a fungal. And Banelings and Siege Tank Splash basically did away with all my Hellions there. However, it also baited most of his army to its death. And he does have Hive, and he's getting an Ultralisk Cavern. I love his upgrades, too. He's got the 3 Ling damage coming. He does not have the armor coming yet. I should say 3 melee damage. It doesn't only affect the Lings, it affects the Ultralisks as well as Broodlords, Broodlings, I should say. The little unit that Broodlords spawn. And he's getting the Crackling upgrade. I especially like that. Zerglings can be really good against parts of mech. It's just that you've got to get rid of absolutely all of the Hellions for the Zerglings to work out. You saw he had a decent number of Zerglings there, and he absolutely roasted all of them. And I like this. He's now using Neural Parasites to take out my Thors. I'm trying to focus the infestors that are parasiting me, but he's just he's got just enough to control to again, even with my supply higher than his, he denies a push. It's really impressive. That's something that Zerg's not supposed to be able to do, especially against mech, where mech is kind of a powerful way to go. Oh man, barely taking out that Thor, and it looks like he was able to counter. I totally missed that as well. He was able to counter and take out my 4th. I don't think I floated it away either. I don't see an extra command center sitting around anywhere. So he was just able to straight take that down. Good on his part. Got me to focus too much on the main battle. Pulled me apart a little bit. So that makes me think, yeah, my worker count is actually looking nasty now. He is in a good spot all of a sudden because he took a lot of workers out on that 4th. And he's establishing, it's kind of his 4th, but what will be his 5th by the time this comes up. So he's not, ooh, I just now noticed 2 drones on that gas. He's not looking in too bad of a position at this point. I still have a pretty redonkulous food count over him, and my army shows that if I were able to move out and not be counterattacked and killed, I would probably be able to do huge damage to him. I actually really like the position of these Hellions. If he tries to run Lings by into my main, which normally is a safe bet because Terrans will have these supply depots down just so they can rally out. If he tries to run by into my main, though, those Hellions will greet all these Zerglings and wipe pretty much all of them out. So I've been setting on 2-2 for a while. I just now started 3-3, and he is just now starting the Ultralisk production with the chitinous plating. That's going to make his Ultralisks disgusting. Super strong. Although having that 3 armor would help a lot too. That extra bit to take him up to, I guess, 6 after this chitinous plating finishes. He's going to have 5 armor on the Ultras. So in other words, Hellions won't be able to basically do anything. Siege tanks will still do pretty much their full damage. It takes quite a bit off the Thor shots because the Thor shots are technically 2 attacks, so the armor counts. Every time the Thor attacks once, the armor counts twice. I did see that this base has been established. Got another little drone kill. He's building 10 more. That puts him in the range he wants to be, the range that he's wanted to be since like the 10-minute mark. And it looks like he's got something nasty planned for my 4th here. I don't like the way that looks. That could be very heinous indeed. I don't like to see that I'm not turning that into a planetary. Oh, there it just now happened. Siege tank splash is going to kill a lot of SCVs. It looks like I survived for the most part, and oh, his infestors, they're barely going to get out of there, aren't they? I started building Vikings in anticipation of Broodlords because I scanned and saw his hive timing, but he tricked me. He went Ultralisks instead, so these Vikings are not a good investment for me. But I am using them to seek out some Overlords, get some Overlord kills. I don't think that's going to supply block him. He will need to rebuild those Overlords because he's not beyond supply cap, but beyond supply max, I should say. But it doesn't do any direct, hurt to him. Whoa, what is this? He's setting up a Ling drop. Interesting. I actually like to see that kind of tactic employed. That works really well against a mech player because Hellions are the things that pop out of production facilities the most often. Other than that, everything else, Thors and tanks, take a really long time to build, so you don't have units popping out of your production facilities very often. So it's very common for a mech player not to have any forces in his base. And if he's positioned even right outside of his base, he's likely entrenched there, and moving just back to his main was quite a hassle. Oh, these Vikings, I totally didn't actually see that they did this. I had these Vikings on a random patrol. I just shift-queued them up all over the map, and they happened to catch that drop. That was beautiful. I couldn't have done that better if I was aware and trying. Still, okay, he's just now getting this +3 armor. I like to see that. He is getting the +2 ranged as well. That's good for a Zerg to get eventually, because even if he's not really using Roaches or Hydras, because the infested Terrans, and infested Terrans are so easy, you can be so sneaky with them, they're so easy to do nasty critical damage with. The depth of this siege line, though, is just absolutely devastating. Given the army counts, I hope he doesn't try to push into that anytime soon. Just a couple Hellion shots take all of his Zerglings down to some pretty weak levels. I believe that Hellion was scouting mineral saturation to try to see. Oh, and here we go. Landing with the Vikings. Wow, that is really odd. I guess I've seen the Ultralisks at this point. I know he's not going Broodlords, at least not immediately. So I'm going to get the Vikings involved in some other way. I can't use them to directly counter an air unit, so why not land them and try to harass a base, even if I do lose them. Oh, I like this. Running in, trying to get any kind of drone damage I can with just a small number of Hellions. Ooh, I don't understand this. This is not good. He's coming in with just 3 Ultralisks when he's got more army. He didn't use the Infestors at all. That was a bad move. You can see his army count is really low. His worker count is still decent, and he's just now starting to get good saturation at these two, but he's not holding things together as good as he could. There's a couple drones not doing what they should be doing, and his army. Oh, here we have a counterattack, a pretty large counterattack. This looks like it's a desperation counterattack. A last hope. All of my army, go! Can you kill him? And he is going to try. I don't have a turret up close enough to see that. Oh, nice! A couple siege tanks popped out. I was saying something earlier about how you don't normally have, units in your base. I just happened to get some. That is a lot of infested Terrans. That's going to wipe out pretty much everything there. I'm going to take this opportunity to move up just a little bit, though. Oh, and here, oof, a couple Lings and 1 Ultra. That is not going to get a whole lot of traction. He did take my food count down pretty substantially, just in killing a lot more workers. I guess I already have the unit tab up. I'm less than half of him in workers now, and taking out some of the defenses that I had left at home. Couple siege tanks here and there, but I'm putting some nasty pressure on here. I've got him separated to where anything that spawns from his main can't come down and join the rest of the forces. And he's going to get a look at it. And he is probably not going to like what he sees here. So, and there's the GG, sure enough. So there you have a slightly more refined mech than anything I've been doing lately. Again, the opening still wasn't totally standard. It did a little bit of goofy stuff in the opening. I think I should really just stick to what the pros do for the most part. That Hellion Banshee stuff probably would have pulled off everything that my tank included push did. And it probably would have been leaner. It probably would have been cheaper, so I could have accomplished other things a little bit more quickly. Really, the army value tells the story of this. With mech, I was able to get a higher food count than him throughout the entire game. This is how, with the resource collection, it's spiking. This is where he took that third down. That was a huge hit. He actually used that to kind of get a good little boost here in the beginning of the late game, but kind of ended up squandering it in different ways. Parts of his forces attacking without the rest. Not ideal. So that's going to be it. I probably won't be playing Terran a whole lot in the near future. I just want to get back to Zerg and Protoss. I've had to play a lot. I've had to lose a whole lot to even get to being able to do that mech as well, as I just did it there, and it was still pretty sloppy, still pretty messy. So I don't know. Look forward to other stuff, other races, Zerg and Protoss. Terran will come eventually, I'm sure. Not anytime soon, though. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.